Episode 7. The Last Ebb of the Tide. 1. Under Clearer Skies. In the weeks after the dramatic raid at St. Felix Chapel, a fragile peace settled over Westvale. The destructive storm that had lashed the town finally dissipated, leaving brisk blue-sky mornings and crisp starlit nights. Tourists, drawn by media coverage of the cult incident and the rumored discovery of Captain Hawksmoor's legendary wreck, began to trickle in. The Lighthouse Cafe bustled with curious newcomers, asking the locals to recount the saga. For Cassia Morel, life brimmed with both excitement and exhaustion. She spent her days assisting Dr. Sebastian Harland and a small academic team as they documented the Crestfallen's wreck site, diving carefully among the reefs to map the decaying hull and retrieve small artifacts. Her evenings were devoted to analyzing centuries-old diaries and leftover cult documents, particularly references to the Black Pearls and their alleged curse. Evidence firmly suggested the curse was no more than maritime superstition. The Black Pearls themselves, now locked in a secure facility at a nearby university, were undeniably rare but tested free of toxins or radiation. Still, an undercurrent of caution lingered. Too many tragedies had been attached to those pearls for Cassia to fully dismiss the old legends. She often found herself drifting back to that final confrontation in the tide chamber, remembering the robed leader's fervent warning. "You meddle with powers beyond your ken. Now you doom us all." Even if the threat was purely in their minds, fanatic beliefs could have a lingering sting. 2. A familiar face returns. It was midday when Detective Rowan Byrne, as promised, returned to Westvale. His blue sedan rolled down the main street, drawing a few glances from passing locals who recognized him as the man who had helped break the cult's grip. After parking near the harbor, Byrne exited the car and took a moment to savor the sea air, less foreboding now that the storm clouds were gone. He found Cassia standing on the pier, conversing with Dr. Harland. A brisk wind ruffled her curls, but she looked more relaxed than he remembered, albeit with a hint of lingering tension in her eyes. When she caught sight of him, her face lit with a warm smile. "You made it back," she said. The unspoken thank you laced her words. Byrne nodded. "My official reports are filed, and Devon Mowbray was extremely grateful to have that stolen locket returned. Turns out it was indeed linked to Hawksmoor's family crest. My job's done. Well, mostly. I promised Harland I'd provide security for the salvage operation in case any cult remnants caused trouble." Harland, sporting healing bruises and a faint smile, shook Byrne's hand. "Welcome back. We've been lucky, no cult harassment lately, but the state police do want a more thorough presence before we attempt to raise any major artifacts from the wreck. We're expecting them next week." Byrne's eyes flicked to Cassia. "And how's your research going?" She shrugged, a mixture of pride and lingering unease. "We've unearthed more personal items from the wreck, letters, cameo brooches, even a battered logbook that might have belonged to Captain Hawksmoor. The writing is partially illegible, water-damaged, but we're hoping to recover enough to piece together his true motives." The mention of Hawksmoor's logbook stirred Byrne's curiosity. We might finally learn why he risked transporting those pearls, and whether he believed the curse or not. Harlan nodded. "That's the hope. We have a partial team here now, scanning artifacts. If you're free this afternoon, Cassia can show you the new finds." Byrne glanced at Cassia, smiling softly. "Lead the way." 3. Light on the water. They headed to a temporary research station set up in a refurbished boathouse near the docks. Inside, folding tables were covered with meticulously labeled relics, warped wooden fragments, corroded buckles, half-dissolved manuscripts in protective sleeves. Overhead, lights hummed, and the faint odor of musty seawater clung to everything. Cassia guided Byrne to a corner table where a carefully spread piece of parchment rested beneath an acrylic sheet. "We're calling it log page number 17. The text is faint, but some lines are legible." She turned on a specialized lamp that made faint ink more visible. Barn peered at the aged writing. The cargo from the Far East glitters like the night sky. Rumors swirl that ill fortune follows these pearls, yet my sponsor insists they are worth any risk. We must not fail. Cora, my beloved, says we test the wrath of the seas. I fear she may be right. Barnes' eyes narrowed. So Hawksmoor himself was wary of these pearls, but a sponsor pushed him to transport them. That suggests a bigger scheme, someone who financed the mission. Cassia nodded. We suspect some wealthy patron in Britain or Europe, though the name is still obscured. The next lines mention a storm and references to possible sabotage or pursuit by unknown vessels. Harland stepped over, rewrapping a piece of rotted rope. We also found signs that the crew was uneasy, some wanting to jettison the pearls to appease superstitious fears. Hawksmoor refused, apparently under strict orders. Byrne exhaled slowly, feeling a pang of sympathy for the doomed captain. And then the Crestfallen sank off West Vale's coast. The pearls ended up in that tide chamber for centuries, guarded by the cult. Ironic that a sponsor's scheme led to all this horror. They moved on to examine a battered trunk containing personal items likely belonging to Hawksmoor's wife, Cora, hairpins, a cameo locket. Cassia gently lifted the cameo. This cameo was stolen months ago, remember? One of the first thefts. The cult must have tried to collect every item connected to the pearls or the Hawksmoor name. Barnes studied the delicate carving, depicting a woman's profile. So many lives twisted by greed and fear. I'm glad we brought it to light, though we lost people along the way. A moment of silence passed as they recalled Avery Collins and the other victims. Outside, a mild sun sparkled off the harbour waters. The hush held a bittersweet note. 4. An unexpected guest. They were interrupted by the sound of the boathouse door creaking open. A man in his mid-50s with silver-streaked hair and an impeccable navy blazer stepped in. He wore an air of refined confidence. Cassia glanced at Harland, who looked puzzled. No one on their team dressed like that. "May I help you?" Cassia asked politely. He smiled politely. "Apologies for intruding. My name is Alistair Eaton. I'm with the British Antiquities Consortium. I arrived in Westvale this morning upon hearing of your discovery of the Crestfallen wreck." The mention of a British consortium piqued Harland's interest. "You're a bit far from home, Mr. Eaton." He nodded, stepping closer. "Indeed, but the Crown has a historical interest in certain East India trade vessels, especially those rumoured to carry contraband or valuable cargo. The Crestfallen fits that profile. I'd like to discuss the possibility of a formal partnership in preserving and, if necessary, repatriating any significant British artifacts." Byrne threw Cassia a guarded look. Diplomatic entanglements often complicated salvage claims, but Cassia, as a historian, felt a flush of excitement. "We've only begun mapping the wreck, but if you have expertise or resources, we're open to collaborations." Eaton smiled smoothly. "Wonderful. The Consortium has decades of experience. We'd be honored to help ensure these relics receive proper study and care." His gaze swept the room, lingering momentarily on the black pearls, though they were locked away off-site. A few test photos hung on a bulletin board. The mild curiosity in his expression gave Cassia a chill, like a man sizing up a valuable painting. Harland cleared his throat. "We appreciate the interest, Mr. Eaton, but we must proceed carefully. The cargo has sparked violence already." Eaton's eyes flickered. "Yes, I read about the unfortunate cult incident. Rest assured, the Consortium's only aim is to preserve history." A polite chuckle. "And possibly return it to rightful owners, if that applies." Byrne's instincts pricked. Why does this feel more than a courtesy call? But outwardly, he remained polite. "We'll pass your information to the official salvage coordinator. They can contact you." Eaton produced a calling card from an inside pocket, handing it to Cassia. "Whenever you're ready." Please do let me know if anything, extraordinary arises in your research." With another courteous nod, he departed as unexpectedly as he'd arrived, leaving a faint tension in the air. 5. Disquiet among the ruins. Once Eaton was gone, Harland set down his notes, brow furrowed. "I've heard of the British Antiquities Consortium, essentially a private group that often lobbies for returning artifacts to UK museums or wealthy collectors. They're not always unscrupulous, but their approach can be heavy-handed." Cassia pursed her lips. If the sponsor behind Hawksmoor was a British figure, they might argue the pearls belonged to British history. But Westvale was never a British colony, and the cargo was found in American waters. Byrne scowled. "We just dealt with one group trying to claim the pearls at gunpoint. The last thing we need is another group, albeit more official, trying to wrest them away." A storm of worry whirled in Cassia's gut. The cult was subdued, but new players could emerge with different motivations: money, prestige, or hidden agendas. The black pearls remained at the center of it all. She forced herself to focus on a piece of partially decoded script. "Let's not jump to conclusions. We'll keep an eye on Eaton. For now, let's keep working on the log pages. We might glean more about Hawksmoor's sponsor and the legal ownership question." So they pressed on, studying brittle diaries, cross-referencing runic notations from the puzzle box. Every so often, Cassia caught Byrne's concerned gaze, and she'd nod slightly. "We'll handle it." But a new tension had set in. 6. Late-night revelations. That evening, as a cool breeze drifted across Westvale, Cassia stayed behind in the boathouse, determined to tackle more of Captain Hawksmoor's water-damaged log. Most of the salvage team had headed out for dinner. Byrne lingered in a corner, quietly scanning related documents. Harland had gone to the local inn for much-needed rest. Cassia carefully worked with a portable infrared light, coaxing out faint ink. To her surprise, a line flared to life. "My sponsor, Sir Alistair E. must deliver cargo to the designated harbour. Failing that would imperil us all. Cora begs me to reconsider." Cassia's breath caught. Sir Alistair E. Alistair Eaton? The name obviously wasn't a match in years. Hawksmoor's sponsor would be from centuries ago. But was there a family link, or had Cassia misread? She focused the IR lamp again. The partial text continued. "He claims the pearls hold more power than gold. Some say a blessing, others a weapon. Sir Alistair's instructions: never let them fall to rival hands. We sail at dawn." Her mind whirled. If Hawksmoor's sponsor was a Sir Alistair E. something, it might be an ancestor of this modern Alistair Eaton. Possibly the Consortium's interest was more personal than professional. "Rowan, come look at this," she said quietly, beckoning Byrne. He read the lines, eyebrows shooting up. "Alistair Eaton. We just met a man with the same first name and initial. Could be coincidence, but it's quite the parallel." Cassia's heart raced. He mentioned wanting to repatriate the pearls if they turn out to be rightful British property. Maybe he's carrying on some old family obsession, like the cult, but from a different angle. Who knows? Byrne's eyes narrowed. "We need to confirm his background. If he's a direct descendant of Hawksmoor's sponsor, he might see these pearls as his heritage, or intend to exploit them. Let's keep this quiet until we have proof." They took photographs of the newly revealed log text, hearts thrumming with that old sense of urgency. Another mystery, a new potential threat. Despite the cult's collapse, the pearls seemed destined to draw trouble from across centuries. 7. An ominous invitation. The next day, a polite envelope arrived at the boathouse, delivered by a hotel concierge. Inside was a crisp letter addressed to Cassia, Byrne, and Harland, signed by Alistair Eaton. He invited them to a cordial dinner meeting at Westvale's newest upscale inn, the Seabreeze Retreat, to discuss collaborative opportunities. The letter's tone dripped with civility, but Cassia felt uneasy. Harland joined them, scanning the letter. He wants to meet, possibly to lay out the Consortium's offer, or to confirm his suspicions about our finds. Byron shrugged, tension clear in his stance. We could decline, but that might push him into more clandestine moves. Maybe meeting is wise. See what he's after. Cassia bit her lip. Agreed. Let's keep the upper hand, at least. So, they accepted. That evening, they found themselves in the Seabreeze Retreat's cozy dining lounge, a stark contrast to the dusty boathouse. Flickering candles and ocean-themed decor created a refined ambiance. Eaton greeted them warmly from a corner table by a large window which overlooked the harbour below. "Thank you for coming," he said, rising to shake hands. "I do hope we can forge a mutually beneficial relationship. Please, sit." They exchanged small talk about Westvale's history while waiters served delicate seafood dishes. The atmosphere was elegant, yet an undercurrent of tension lingered. 8. Hidden motives. Once they'd eaten, Eaton leaned forward, smiling politely. "Now, to business. The British Antiquities Consortium is prepared to fund a full excavation of the crestfallen wreck, including salvage of any cargo. We'd provide top conservators and cover all costs. In return, certain artifacts, particularly the Black Pearls, would be repatriated to our custody." Harland raised an eyebrow. "That's generous, covering all costs, but the pearls were found in American territorial waters." Eaton's lips curved in a faint smile. "Indeed. Yet historically, the Crestfallen was commissioned under a British sponsor. Any cargo aboard was technically property of the Crown or affiliated nobility. I can produce genealogical records showing a direct lineage from the sponsor, Sir Alistair Everwood. That might complicate your salvage rights." Cassia and Byron exchanged sharp glances. Sir Alistair Everwood. There it was. The sponsor's full name. Possibly an ancestor to Eaton. Cassia pressed him gently. "I've uncovered partial log entries referring to a Sir Alistair E. So you're claiming this is your family?" Eaton's eyes gleamed. "Precisely. My father's side descends from Sir Alistair Everwood. Our family's known tales of these black pearls for generations. Their mystic significance is rumoured. Whether cursed or not, they hold deep historical import for my family. Restoring them to our lineage is paramount." Harland frowned. "We can't simply hand them over. The pearls have local and national significance, plus centuries of contested ownership. The United States might claim them as discovered treasure, and the families of the Crestfallen's crew have a say, not to mention Westvale's stake." Eaton's smile cooled. "Hence my offer, a large compensation package for Westvale and your research team. A share of lesser artifacts can remain in local museums, but the pearls return with me." Byron cleared his throat, voice steady. "We appreciate your candor, but this decision isn't purely ours. We have law enforcement and multiple agencies involved. The pearls are evidence in criminal cases involving the cult." Eaton's expression tightened. For a moment, Cassia saw a flicker of frustration beneath his polished demeanor. He exhaled slowly. "I understand. But please, consider the historical context. My ancestors commissioned Hawksmoor to acquire those pearls legally, by whatever means. The fact that the Crestfallen sank doesn't abrogate that contract." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Then he forced a gracious tone. "No need to finalize anything tonight. Think it over. I'll remain in Westvale for a few days. I sincerely hope we can reach an amicable agreement so we may avoid messy legal battles." His final phrase, though softly spoken, felt like a warning. 9. Conflicted hearts. After dinner, Cassia, Byron, and Harland departed the inn under a moonlit sky. They walked in uneasy silence along the harbour's promenade, the distant calls of seabirds echoing off the water. Harland shook his head. "That man is polite, but he's used to getting what he wants. He'll try every legal angle to claim the pearls, possibly more underhanded tactics." Cassia stopped by a lamppost, peering at her reflection in the glassy harbour. So we either concede the pearls to him or face a potential lawsuit that could tie up the salvage for years. Meanwhile, the pearls are crucial evidence in the cult's trial. Byron set his jaw. We can't let him whisk them away. We promised Westvale the truth about Hawksmoor's cargo, and any official museum display should tell the full story. Cult involvement, the murders, everything. Eaton might whitewash it or bury details that taint his family's reputation. Cassia glanced at him. It's more than that, isn't it? Something about Eaton's confident manner. It reminds me of the cult's belief that these pearls hold power. Who's to say he's not just another fanatic, wearing a suit instead of robes? Harlan nodded. We must tread carefully. Deciding to regroup in the morning, they parted ways. Each carried a swirl of questions. Is Eaton truly a descendant? Are these pearls a prized heritage or dangerous obsession? How far would he go to claim them? 10. A shocking development. The next day dawned bright and calm, the ocean mirror-smooth. Cassia, Barn, and Harland arrived at the secure university lab where the pearls were stored, intending to continue studying them under advanced imaging. Officer Gonzalez had arranged for an armed guard stationed at the lab's entrance, given the pearls' history of theft attempts. But as they approached, they noticed tension in the air. The guard stood stiffly outside the door, flanked by a stern-faced man in a dark suit. This stranger flashed a badge, identifying himself as Agent Rutledge from a federal investigative agency. Cassia Morell? Dr. Harland? Detective Byron? He asked. I'm here on behalf of the Department of Cultural Antiquities. We're taking custody of the Black Pearls. There are national security concerns. Harland gaped. National security? That's ridiculous. Rutledge's face was impassive. We have reason to believe certain extremist factions, perhaps foreign, are interested in these pearls. I can't disclose details, but we can't risk them falling into hostile hands. We're placing them under federal protection. Cassia's heart sank. But they're evidence in multiple ongoing cases and part of a historical salvage. You can't just seize them. Rutledge shrugged, brandishing official paperwork. We can, and we will. The transfer is approved by higher authorities. You're free to continue your research with scanned data, but the physical pearls come with us, effective immediately. Byron scowled, scanning the documents. They appeared legitimate, stamped with departmental seals. He cursed under his breath. This is Eaton's doing, isn't it? Or someone connected to him pulling strings. Rutledge gave a tight-lipped look. I don't know an Eaton. My orders come from Washington. Now, step aside. Officers behind him rolled a secure carrying case into the lab. Within minutes, they packed the black pearls, still in their protective stasis pods, into foam inserts and sealed them. Cassia watched, numb with frustration, as the pearls disappeared into a black case. With brisk efficiency, Agent Rutledge and his team escorted the case out of the lab, leaving Cassia, Harland, and Byron standing amidst empty display stands and an eerie sense of finality. 11th. Rising tides of concern. For the rest of the day, Cassia felt adrift. Word spread quickly that the federal government had seized the pearls. Eaton was nowhere to be found, his hotel room vacated, according to a desk clerk. It was as though he vanished right after arranging for a federal takedown, if that was indeed his role. Harland, furious, tried calling contacts in academic circles, but no one could help. Byron contacted Officer Gonzalez, who was equally blindsided. No one had told her about a federal order. She promised to dig deeper, but what could she do? That evening, Cassia paced the boathouse, staring at the battered relics from the crestfallen that still remained. The black pearls, centerpiece of the entire saga, were gone. We've come so far, only to lose them to some bureaucratic black hole, she muttered. Byrne stood nearby, arms crossed. We can't accept that. We have Hawksmoor's log pages, historical evidence, witness testimony. Let them try to hide the pearls. The truth is still ours to tell. Harland exhaled. If the government truly suspects extremist interest, maybe it's safer. Yet I can't shake the feeling that this is more about quiet profiteering or hush-hush deals. The pearls vanish, and some group profits in secret. A chill skittered across Cassia's skin. We might never know. Their conversation was interrupted by Finch, who hurried in, face pale. I spoke with an informant at the local airport. A private jet departed earlier. Guess who was on board? Alistair Eaton. The plane was registered to a shell corporation rumored to have defense and intelligence ties. Cassia's heart lurched. That proves it. Eaton orchestrated the federal seizure, playing on the notion of a potential terror threat. He used official channels to spirit the pearls away, probably back to England or some undisclosed location. Burns' jaw clenched. He manipulated us all. The question is, did the pearls truly head to a federal facility, or were they handed to him in the process? Harlan swallowed hard. So even the government's involvement might be a smokescreen. He could have bribed or blackmailed the right officials. A grim hush filled the boathouse. This was a new, insidious betrayal, legally sanctioned theft by a cunning descendant of the original sponsor. The cycle of greed continued. 12. The breaking point. Cassia spent the night in restless insomnia, haunted by the thought of the pearls leaving U.S. soil under false pretenses. By dawn, she resolved to do the one thing she could: expose the entire story. With Harlan's blessing, she prepared a comprehensive report, detailing the Crestfallen's discovery, the Black Pearl's significance, the cult's crimes, the newly found log pages implicating Sir Alistair Everwood, and the sudden federal seizure. She included photos, references, and her own eyewitness testimony. Byrne contributed statements, as did Officer Gonzalez. They packaged it all, intending to release it to media outlets, historians, and any public watchdog group that would listen. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, Byrne declared, hitting send on a round of emails. If Eaton wants to hide behind bureaucratic smoke, let's see how well that stands up against public scrutiny. Harland looked worried, but determined. We may face legal pushback, but the truth must be known. Captain Hawksmoor's story isn't just a footnote, it's a cautionary tale about greed and fear. Finch, though not an official co-author, nodded solemnly. He'd seen the damage done by secrets passed down generations. Let it all out in the open. 13. A twist of fate. In the days that followed, Cassia's exposé gained traction online. Various journalists and historical societies picked up the story. Debates ignited. Who truly owned the Black Pearls? Were they an item of cultural heritage or a potential hazard? Conspiracy theories abounded about the cult, the government, and foreign interests. A surprising wave of public outcry erupted, pressuring the Department of Cultural Antiquities to clarify their involvement. On live TV, a spokesperson stammered that they had no official knowledge of a special operation in Westvale. Public confusion soared. Then, late one afternoon, a courier arrived at the police station with a sealed envelope addressed to Cassia and Byrne. Inside lay a single letter, typed in crisp font. We commend your dedication to unveiling the truth. However, certain matters must remain confidential. Your thorough documentation ensures the Pearl's history will not be forgotten. That, at least, is admirable. As for the pearls themselves, rest assured they are held in a secure location. Their rightful lineage demands it. A E. Cassia read it twice, a bitter taste in her mouth. A E for Alistair Eaton. A final gloating message, acknowledging their attempts. He knew they'd gone public, but apparently it didn't faze him. Byrne ground his teeth. He's practically taunting us. 14. The remarkable surprise. Despite the heartbreak of losing the pearls, something incredible happened just a week later. While sifting through more of the Crestfallen's wreckage, Cassia's dive team discovered a second small chest. this one hidden under a collapsed beam. Within it lay a series of letters wrapped in waterproof oilskin, seemingly from Cora Hawksmoor to her husband, penned before the fateful voyage. These letters, unlike the battered log entries, were shockingly intact. They revealed that the black pearls were not the only relic Hawksmoor smuggled. There was mention of the Phoenix Stone, a gem rumoured to counterbalance the pearl's curse, or so the legend said. This Phoenix Stone was said to neutralize the pearl's negative influence, if such a thing existed. Cora believed the stone was essential to ensuring the pearls did no harm. The letters ended with a cryptic note. James, if ill fortune follows the pearls, remember the stone's power. In union lies salvation. Should the pearls be lost, the stone alone can guide those who come after, or so the tales say. Cassia's hands shook as she read these revelations. A second relic. She scoured the entire chest, but found no gem. Possibly it was lost at sea, or never aboard, but the existence of a rumoured counterpart to the pearls changed everything. Bursting with excitement, she called Bayern and Harland. They read the letters, equally stunned. If the Phoenix Stone was real, it might be the true key to the pearl's supposed curse, some artifact the cult never knew about, or deemed heretical. It also might shift entire legal claims around the pearls, if discovered. This was the remarkable surprise Cassia never expected. The story wasn't over, not by a long shot. A new relic might remain hidden in Westvale's waters, or somewhere else. The final resolution regarding Hawksmoor's cargo was still unwritten. 15. Beyond the Tides. In the days that followed, Cassia and Harland publicized the letter's content, igniting fresh interest and speculation. If the Phoenix Stone existed, was it lying in a sealed crate beneath shifting sand? Was it hidden in some private collection? Another sponsor's legacy? The possibilities were endless. Officer Gonzalez admitted that the cult seized documents made no mention of a Phoenix Stone. They seemed fixated solely on the pearls. Finch, rummaging through family law, found no reference to it either. Meanwhile, Bayern, scanning law enforcement bulletins, spotted a rumour that Alistair Eaton was quietly searching for an associated relic abroad, implying he also knew about Cora Hawksmoor's letters or had discovered that clue. Thus, the stage was set for a new race. If the black pearls remained in Eaton's domain, perhaps only the Phoenix Stone could overshadow their mythic threat, or prove once and for all the nature of their curse. Cassia felt a surge of determination. Westvale might not have the pearls anymore, but it held another chance at the truth, a missing key to Hawksmoor's saga. 16. A Parting Promise. On the final evening of Cassia's stay in Westvale before she returned to her university, she walked along the pier with Bayern. The sunset gilded the harbour in orange and gold, casting their shadows long on the wooden planks. Hard to believe how far we've come, she said softly, from stolen antiques to unearthing a centuries-old secret society, and now a hidden stone rumoured to balance the pearl's curse. Bayern nodded, leaning on the railing. It's a bittersweet victory. The cult's broken and Westvale's safer, but the pearls are gone, likely in Eaton's hands, and we've discovered a new piece of the puzzle. Cassia's gaze drifted over the gentle waves. Maybe it's a good thing. The pearls caused so much bloodshed. If the Phoenix Stone is real, we can keep searching on our terms, and one day we might reclaim the pearls from Eaton, or at least reveal his manipulations. Byrne placed a reassuring hand on hers. We'll do it together. I can't promise it'll be easy, but if you ever need me. She smiled, completing the thought. I'll call, this time, for a new adventure. They shared a moment, the hush of the sea around them. Then, from across the docks, Harland waved. He'd found fresh references in the newly discovered letters, a potential lead on where the Phoenix Stone might have travelled after Hawksmoor's death. As Cassia and Byrne headed over, a sense of hopeful anticipation flickered through them. The last ebb of one tide had revealed so many secrets, but another tide was rising with fresh mysteries to pursue. Captain Hawksmoor's legacy, it seemed, was far from finished. Epilogue: A Flicker of Flame. Days later, a nondescript courier van drove up a winding country road in eastern England. It stopped at a remote manor, ivy creeping across its stone walls. A solitary figure in a dark suit carried a heavy black case to a locked oak door. Inside a dimly lit study, Alistair Eaton stood before a large portrait of a stern-faced 18th-century nobleman, Sir Alistair Everwood. Light from a crackling fireplace danced across Eaton's features as he unlocked the case, nestled within the foam, the black pearls shining with that same uncanny luster. He lifted one, rolling it between his fingertips as though communing with it. On a table beside him lay scattered documents, including old genealogical records and a partial printout of Cassia's exposé. A single line from Captain Hawksmoor's log was highlighted in red ink. Some say a blessing, others a weapon. Eaton's mouth curved into a cryptic smile. At last, our family's rightful treasure. If only we had the stone as well. A quiet hush followed as he turned the pearl in the firelight, eyes gleaming with an intensity reminiscent of the now-defeated cult. The flame wavered, throwing shadows that curled across the portrait. There, in the hush of that ancient estate, the story of the cursed pearls continued, cloaked in ambition, rumour, and the faint promise of powers unseen. Far away in Westvale, Cassia, Barn, Harland, and the townsfolk went about their lives, uncertain what the future held. But they knew one thing. Someday, the Phoenix Stone might rise from the depths, and the final chapter of Hawksmoor's cargo would be written. Concluding notes. Our heroes have broken the cult's hold on Westvale and revealed the Black Pearl's secrets to the wider world. Yet, in a final twist, the pearls end up in the hands of Alistair Eaton, a descendant of Hawksmoor's original sponsor, implying the saga continues. Meanwhile, Cassia's discovery of a rumoured Phoenix Stone opens a new mystery that may one day change everything.